Welcome back! With Calentita's status as our local dish, I visited Jennifer at the Garrison Library to find out more about how this recipe came to be such a national icon.
Hi Justin, so tell me, Calentita on the menu this week?
Yes, I'll be making Calentita tonight. It's everyone's sort of favourite dish, everyone knows it. But I really want to know sort of how it has become the national dish.
Well, it wasn't always a national dish, and I think I'm very intrigued to understand how, from being street food, because that's what Calentita was, street food,
they used to go down the streets and selling it, go hello and take a Calentita.
And we saw a photograph earlier of the vendor with a big dish on his head. It's always intrigued me to try and understand how, from being such a widely available food, a very cheap food, takeaway really of years gone by, how Calentita has gone from being just something that would be sold for a penny or less on the street to a national dish.
Yeah.
I think that transition is very interesting. Because you said, look, you've grown up knowing it as a national dish. Well, I didn't grow up with it being a national dish, but a very available dish. So there's been a transition along the way.
Okay, yeah, I've always known it. Everyone I've spoken to has said, have you tried the Calentita? Yeah, Calentita is the Gibraltar dish. You have to try Calentita, especially. And there's even the food festival is now named after.
Yeah, and I think that Calentita has become like a national signifier or a repository. And it's Calentita, and it's, as you say, a dish with 2, perhaps 3 ingredients.
That's right.
And yet it's so loaded with so many other cultural significations, and the emphasis is great on Calentita once it became a national dish as it is now.
The ingredients that are in it are ingredients that we don't tend to grow in Gibraltar.
Gibraltar, as you know, as you've just said, doesn't grow anything. But the chickpea is certainly not indigenous to us. It's not indigenous to Europe. I think its origins come in Southeast Asia, I think, and has travelled hundreds of thousands of miles over thousands of years. And I'm sure that if we look at any culture around the world, there will always be a chickpea element in it. Certainly Calentita, or recipes similar to Calentita, appear in Algeria, in Morocco, in Israel, clearly in Genoa, along Liguria, the areas, in Spain. So when we look at the Calentita and the chickpea in Gibraltar, I think that we also look at thousands of years of migrations and of influences from many cultures.
When I've made it, anyway, I've noticed that it's kept very simple. It's just the chickpea flour, water, some salt, pepper. But I've noticed that the Italians, the Genoese, they might add some rosemary to it. They can add different bits to it just to give it more flavour, because it doesn't have to be so plain and boring. Or some people might find it plain and boring, but it doesn't have to be so limited as to the ingredients you use. Is that something that we've kept it that way for any reason?
Food changes and recipes change according to taste and according to the ingredients to hand. But because I knew that Calentita was on the menu, I brought out a number of books just so that you could see how the Calentita recipe changes. And you've just mentioned rosemary. Well, I had a quick look at, you remember Nian Haynes and her rock cake books?
Yes, I saw her in the literary festival a couple years ago.
Yes, well, her Calentita recipe includes rosemary. It has the
the
olive
photo.
oil, the chopped and this is a photograph of the Calentita cellar around the 1920s. So, yeah, hers varies from I think, your recipe in your book.
Yeah, in my book it's kept very simple. It's just the chickpea flour, water and the pepper and salt.
So the rosemary gives it a very nice flavour. Everybody has their own touch and everybody will make it a bit special. I also found, and this is also interesting, a Satha cookery book for the wives of the families of soldiers, sailors and airmen stationed in Gibraltar. Well, this one is post-war. I have another one that is earlier. But in this one, I was looking for local foods, and lo and behold, we have Calentita, which is very similar to your recipe. Except it has eggs.
Okay, I've not tried it with eggs before.
Yeah, so it's Calentita with eggs, which I thought was very different to the traditional Calentita.
A bit more pancakey, I suppose.
Oh, I would imagine, yes, or maybe a bit more like like pancakey, to set it
More
in a way
congealed,
almost as if it were a flan. And so there's Calentita and chickpea fingers, which are...
Which would be the panissa, I suppose, yeah.
So So I thought how interesting, we have two very different recipes for Calentita.
And two different time periods as well.
Two different time periods. Clearly Calentita was popular enough to warrant an entry into this cookery book. I love the idea that it's such a humble and such a democratic dish. I love the idea that it's not something like caviar on smoked salmon or whatever. I love the idea that it's a dish of the people,
yeah,
which makes it very democratic and very much anybody can eat it, whether you're rich or poor. So that's what I love, the idea of Calentita as a national dish.
So to finish off today with the Rosto and the Calentita, we're going to have something sweet in the menu. It's going to be the Spanish Mantecados. We're going to use some lard, some icing sugar, some flour and some peanut butter. So the first thing we need to do is mix the lard and the icing sugar together in the bowl. We need to melt it together, so you can do this in the microwave or al baño Maria. Just make sure it's all nice and melted and soft. Once we do that, we add in the peanut butter and the flour. And then once we've done that, we shape it all into the shapes of the mantecados and place it all in the oven at 180 degrees until it hardens up. That should take about 20 minutes or so, and then it's all ready. First thing we need to do is grab your lard, and you can get it in chunks, just pour it into the bowl there, and then just grab your icing sugar and pour it straight into the bowl. It's a bit messy, you get dust. Stir it up a bit. Place this into the microwave just so that the lard melts up with the icing sugar. Check it. So now this is nice and melted, it's all soft. We're going to pour in our flour and our peanut butter. Probably best to let it cool down a bit first. We'll pour in the flour now and the peanut butter. Now that it's a bit cooler, it'll be easier to handle. You won't burn your hands. So let's pour in the flour first. And we'll mix this up in the lard. Just stir it all up in there. It gets a bit pasty, so don't worry about it. Just mix it up. And we'll pour in the peanut butter. So a whole jar, about 340 grams of peanut butter, just straight in there. Let's pour in there. Now it's going to get a bit messy. We have to use our hands because it's a bit thick to stir. So stir it just a bit to mix everything together, and then just go straight in there because you're going to have to use your hands anyway to roll the shape. So might as well just do it now. So we'll get in there and we'll just stir it all up. Mix it all together. Make sure it's nice and the colour changes. You'll see the colour change all brown, which is the colour of the peanut butter. And it'll be ready. So meanwhile, or anyway, before you do all this and get all your hands all messy, I would line a baking tray with a bit of greaseproof paper, and that way you have somewhere to put these straight onto when you make the shape. So now that it's all mixed up and you'll see that the colour's gone all brown, just grab a little bit of the paste. It'll be a nice ball, and we can place this straight onto your baking tray. This should be about, you can get maybe 3 or 4 lines with 5 on each. So about 20 different mantecado per baking tray. Just leave a bit of space in between them, as they will flatten slightly when you put them in the oven. So. Now we've rolled them up, we're going to place these straight into the oven at 180 degrees. We'll leave them there for about half an hour, and then we'll come back to them and check them out. Back to our rosto. The pasta has boiled and it's time to add it to our sauce, where the meat is stewed and is just about ready to be served. Now this is ready, and this tastes really good. We're going to serve it up now and put some cheese over it, and it'll be perfect. The calentita is done. So this is perfect. It's nice and crusty on the side, it's golden on the top. So we're going to leave it there to stand for a bit and cool down, and then we're going to cut it up and serve it in a nice dish.
Lastly, our mantecados are ready to be fetched from the oven.
These are nice and brown and ready. They might be a bit soft, so we'll just check them. Yeah, they're a bit soft, but they'll harden when they cool down.
Leave them to cool off for a bit as they may crumble. You may want to pop a kettle on as you might want to enjoy this with a nice cup of tea. If you want to try these or other delicious local recipes, check out Mama Lottie's cookbook for dozens of Gibraltarian dishes, or visit the Mama Lottie's website, mamalotties.com. Don't forget to join us next week for another selection of yummy local recipes.